Hello, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Gary A. Swaby, aka Pan Africanist G, and you are watching or listening to the Snowfall Aftermath. And today we are going to be recapping Snowfall Season 6, Episode 3, and the episode was called The Door of No Return. And I am joined by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers? And today, my name is going to be Gustavo's therapist because this guy needs therapy after all the stretch that he's has gone through so far this season.
Oh, absolutely. He has to play three different characters to try and keep up with all these people. Like he has to be Franklin's friend, he has to be Teddy's friend, he has to help those other people that he's been working with. So yeah,
Yep.
he's going through a real stressful time right now. So I'm sure he's uh he's booking all kinds of sessions with you at the moment. He's probably like doubling up each week. So
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate all the money.
indeed, indeed. So yeah, there's a lot to say about Gustavo in this episode, but there's a lot to say overall because this was a very interesting episode. I will say, Franklin's story didn't progress a whole lot in this, but like a lot of things did happen at the same time, and we got quite a lengthy segment that was based on Leon and Wanda, which was interesting. So there's a lot of thoughts to discuss on this episode today. And we won't hold you guys up too much. We're about to get right into our takeaways, but I do want to remind you that if you do enjoy the content, it is very important that you do support us, that you do hit the like button, that you do leave your comments, and that you do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. We've been working very hard on improving the content, on giving you more content, and just giving you more of what you actually really enjoy from us. We've been working very hard on improving all of that. So please do show your appreciation if you spend some time with us today, and please do hit that like button. It's very important. But with that being said, I will get right into the takeaway segment, and in this segment we're just going to kind of highlight some things that stood out to each of us in this episode, and just kind of give our perspective on it. So I believe in episode 2 Richard went first with the takeaways, so now it's my turn again. So I'm gonna get right into it. So I have to start with the whole Leon and Wanda thing. So because that did take up quite a lot of this episode, and I was surprised that they spent so long on that because I literally thought it was just gonna be Leon in Africa with Wanda and her buying the necklace, and then him looking up at the sign, and that was it was an interesting quote on that sign. The actual quote was, "The errors of the past must be corrected in order to reestablish the confidence of our people in a secure future." So that was the quote on that sign that Leon looked at, and I literally thought that was going to be it. I thought after that, he was gonna go back to LA and be like, okay, I have to cut off all loose ends and everything like that. But they spent a little more time out there, and it was a very powerful, dialogue that they had out there because the experience they had. They went on some kind of tour, and the tour guide kind of broke down about how they sold out their own people. Talking about slavery and stuff, and how the two tribes were at war with each other, and then the winners of that war sold the losers to, obviously we know it was the West, right? They sold them to the West, and they became slaves, and this continued to happen until over 2 million people, 2 million black people were lost, and all of their history and their culture just stripped from them, and that's really what happened to us. So it kind of got real deep with that. And then obviously there's a lot of parallels there with what Leon has been through in LA with the drug war and everything like that. So that kind of hit him deep, and he kind of gained like a new purpose, I guess, of wanting to, free people and help people. And him and Wanda even came up with ideas of, we can go back to LA and start these programs where we allow people to come to Africa and experience this. And because it really must be an enlightening experience to go out there and reconnect with the soil that our people are from. So they came up with that idea. We saw them get married as well, which was a pretty that was a warm moment, to see those two get married out there in Africa and everything. And then yeah, they eventually do head back to LA, and this theme of the past, the past having to be like the errors of the past having to be corrected. That theme comes up again and again throughout the episode because we see that Wanda goes to her grandmother's home, and she's trying to give her this necklace that she brought from Africa as a gift, but her grandma is stuck in the past and what she did to her because she used to rob her to to pay for drugs and crack and stuff, and she took her pearl necklace. So her grandmother is more concerned with the pearl necklace that she stole than this new necklace that comes from Africa, from the motherland. So that just goes to show that their past actions are still haunting them and what they've been through. So that kind of played out all throughout the episode, and we see also that Leon, he went to see everyone that's involved in the war. He went to see Dion, he went to see Jerome and Louis, and he saw Franklin at the end. And it was clear to him that this is a irreparable situation that they're in with this drug war, and that he's got his work cut out for him, and he might actually have to give up on trying to save these people because they're already too far gone. And that was pretty much what Franklin told him. He's like, I appreciate, what you've been through, and I know that I've made some mistakes with how I did certain things. But at this point in time, you're either on my side or you're on their side. And if you're not, then you have to get out of here. Basically, you have to take your wife and leave. So that's where Franklin is at with it in his head. Like he's way too far gone to hear any reason or to hear anything that Leon is saying. Um, and yeah, so that was a that was a pretty beautiful message that they kind of portrayed through Leon and Wanda's experience in this episode, and it just goes to show the destruction that has taken place. And I am glad that they did spend so much time with it. I don't know if maybe some people might be upset about that because we didn't get to see as much action. And the action scenes that we did see in the trailer were kind of just a montage of what has happened. So there might be some people who didn't like that direction to spend so much time in Africa, but I feel like they kind of needed it to really paint a picture. So I liked that. Um, so that was the first takeaway. So as for the montage that I just mentioned with all the action scenes, so so we didn't see all of that play out in real time, of course, but we saw that montage. So now we know that things have really gotten real. Like after that meeting between Franklin and Jerome last week, things have just escalated to another level, and to the point where we see that the gunmen they pull up to the hotel where Jerome and Louis are staying, and they shoot right at them, and then they clap back, and then this kind of ignites a war between Dion and Kane's people indirectly, to where both sides kind of go back and forth, and they lose people, I guess. We saw that one scene where I think it was it Kane's? I think it was Kane's person. One of Kane's gang members. He gets killed while sitting in the barber's chair. And then in a later scene, we
Uh,
even see Franklin. Oh, go ahead.
no, it was Big Dion's cousin that got shot while he was at the barber.
Oh, that
Uh,
was Dion's cousin. Okay,
yeah, one of Kane's is the guy that got killed at the car wash.
right. Oh, yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, yeah. My bad. Thanks for clearing that up. But yeah, so both sides have lost people already. So it is getting to the point of no return, and we even see Franklin about to get his hands dirty, as literally as he's in the bathroom, and he basically has to drop on Dion, who's on the toilet seat, and he reaches for his gun and he's about to pull the trigger, but then we see those servicemen coming to the bathroom. And me and you were talking about this right before the show, Rich, and you said that Franklin should have kept quiet, but he said, thanks for your service to those men, and then that's how Dion knew that Franklin was there and he was coming for him. So yeah, so we see that things have gotten bloody, things have escalated in the war. And this kind of, as you watch the episode, it kind of has you on edge because now you're like, when you see Franklin out in the open, you're like, wow, they could come through at any time and shoot at him. If it's this dangerous, then how is he out here like this with no security? Like he has a death wish at this point. Um, and there's several instances where we see him. He goes to the restaurant to meet Cassandra and his fiance, well, his future baby mother, I should say, Veronique. And then there's another scene later on where I guess he's about to give a speech or something. With Sissy. He meets Sissy there. So like, there's all these points now in the episode where it feels like you're out in the open and you're vulnerable. So I do like that they kind of set that they set the energy that anything could happen at this point now. Like, so you really feel like any character can get hit at any time now. And I was even worried about Leon and Wanda throughout the episode. And we're gonna get to that later because I have some questions about that. But yeah, that was a nice point in the episode. And now I feel like after seeing all of that, from next week onwards, it has to get crazy. Like I think somebody has to die sometime soon. A major character has to die sometime soon. And we have seen that there are funerals in the trailer, so I think it's gonna happen. At some point. But yeah, that's a second takeaway. And then my final takeaway is, we talked about Gustavo and how he's caught in the middle of everything right now. And in this episode, we see that Teddy, he's trying to intercept that cargo, and he asked Gustavo to come with him to Costa Rica. And throughout the whole episode, I'm wondering where they're going with this because it sort of feels like something big is going to go down. And then there's even that scene where Gustavo was meeting with the I don't remember the character's name, but he's meeting with the
Tony,
people. Tony. There you go.
yeah,
Uh, he's meeting with Tony, and then there's the guy in the car. And at first I thought, is that Ruben watching them? But it looks like it's the guy that was at the warehouse later, wherever they met in Costa Rica. It looks like that same guy because he had the beard and everything. So somebody's watching him, and that had me on the edge because I thought something major is gonna happen out there. But then we see that Teddy guns down some men and they intercept the cargo or whatever it was, and then he finds that screw and there's a little note written in there, and he mentions that it's in Russian, and I found that interesting because if you know your history, the war in the Contra, it really was like an American versus Russian war because one side was funded by America, the other side was funded by Russia. So it was like a proxy war kind of between the two nations. Um, and there I just found it like it felt like they were making a bit of a statement there because we know what's going on today, with the Russian war, and there's a lot of parallels there. Also, I won't say too much, but there's a lot going on right now with Russia. So it's interesting now that they're kind of touching on the Russian aspect of that war, and judging by what happens in the trailer for the next episode, it's like it feels like now it's getting really real. Like there's like the CIA and Teddy starting to feel, the heat a little bit. And I'll have more to say about that later because I do have a question directly about that. But yeah, that was interesting. I feel like that whole scene was saying something a little more deep than what we saw. But I'm also wondering if Gustavo is now at risk because it seems like people are watching him, and we know that he's already in a dangerous situation anyway. Because at any moment, anyone could turn on him. Like if Teddy finds out what he's doing, he could turn on him. Franklin could turn on him. Like he's in a very dangerous place. So yeah, I'm really concerned for our friend Gustavo. You're patient, so so yeah, those are my takeaways for this episode. I'm anxious to hear what I'm keen to hear what the people think of this episode. I'm sure there's going to be many mixed thoughts based on how the episode was paced and some of the things that happened. So I definitely want to hear more opinions on it. But let's head over to Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. now and get your take on this episode.
Yes, excellent takeaways as always, Gary. So I want to start by saying, yeah, I thought this was another great episode of Snowfall. I know it felt a little bit shorter, but I appreciate them taking time to explain, the reasoning for Leon coming back. The quote that you mentioned, that he was looking at, that actually was a quote from the former president of Ghana. And you did see in this episode that Leon had actually mentioned that there was a new president coming in that was going to change things. Yeah, his name was Jerry John Rollins. So I do appreciate that they basically, they said enough to make you interested in wanting to study the history of what this president did for Ghana, so on and so forth. So I appreciate that. I also like the fact that they made the comment about slavery and the fact that there were people selling, others into slavery, and how they tried to make that connection with drugs. Whereas if somebody was given an opportunity to go free as a slave, they will go and never look back. But if you are a crack addict, then you given that opportunity, you can always go back. And I think that a lot of those things are very important to state because we did see that Leon and Wanda, they did decide to get married. I do have a comment to make about that later because to me, it felt like everything that happened with Leon, as people who are fans of Leon and Wanda, their relationship, this to me felt like the episode last season, 509, called Departures, in which we saw what would happen if everything ended how Franklin wanted it to be, where he got his money and he got out. And obviously, after we saw that episode, we said, oh, well, now we know things are going to end badly for Franklin. You don't really know to what extent. But I feel after watching this episode, in the title, as you mentioned earlier, Leon should have never gone back because now things are going to end tragically for him and Wanda. And like I said, I do have a theory as to that actually means that I will discuss a little bit later. But I just want to stay on the takeaways for right this moment. I just want to say I did enjoy that they did give a glimpse into Ghana, and they did show you that Leon is attempting to try and repair stuff, but obviously was not successful. Um, Now, you did mention that again. We did see the scene where Wanda went to go visit her grandmother. I'm so glad that they added that scene in here because a lot of the families that were broken up as a result of having someone in the family get hooked on drugs, they fully understand what it's like for to see someone you know and you love stealing money from you, coming into your house, doing all type of reckless things. And the thing is, I know, like a lot of families, and including in some people in my family, they were hooked on drugs and they did steal from their relatives, from those closest to them. So that's why I said that cause and effect, as you mentioned with this show, where it shows when you do something bad, as a result, you have to face the consequences. And you saw that Wanda's grandmother was not welcoming of her, did not let her in the house. I really am glad that they showed that to highlight that. But again, it does show you that Wanda's going to have some issues moving forward because, as she told Leon, she did not want to go back because she knows that crack is there and she will be put in a very bad situation like she was previously. And Leon did say that he would protect her. But again, this is a bad situation that he's walking into. And then to go on to what you said earlier about Leon and the fact that he tried to make peace with Jerome. Everybody was talking about the line where Jerome says, "You're not family." That shows you, again, highlights that Jerome and Louis are past talking. You did see the montage of why they felt this way. And again, I believe that those were Kane's people that did try to do a hit on Jerome and Louis. In the previous episode, Franklin did not tell them that he knew exactly where. He didn't tell Kane he knew exactly where Jerome and Louis was at. He just said they were at a hotel, but he didn't know which one. So I assume that Kane found out the information at some point, and they decided to take matters into their own hands and go against him. Uh, they were unsuccessful, obviously. And then, of course, all this stuff with Big Dion and the fact that I'm going to say that Franklin was going to pull the trigger but didn't. I just want to give you a shout out because you said last week Franklin being very arrogant, he made the decision to in the previous episodes when he talked to Dion and he said, "Hey, if you want to talk to Jerome, go ahead and do that." And he knew that Jerome was involved in all this stuff that happened with Black Diamond getting killed. He knew that Jerome was going to be involved and he was going to intercept that deal. So he doesn't really take accountability for that. And again, he is deciding, well, Dion is the one that did all this, so I just need to take him out. But the one thing I will say that we do notice with the whole communication, everybody is telling their side of the story from their perspective. They are not going from the perspective of the other individual, because even when Leon approached Dion, he's basically saying that, "Oh, Franklin's coming after me because he's crazy." No, you know that you played a role as well as far as telling Jerome, knowing that there was family issues between Jerome and Franklin, and then you tell Jerome where the drop is happening. This is what led to all of this. But again, Franklin created that because when he had his conversation with Dion, he was the one that said, "Hey, if you want to tell Jerome about the pricing and what we're doing here, go ahead and tell him and see if he can match the deal." So again, created all of this chaos, and that's what you're seeing unfold now. A lot of casualties being taken out left to right. So I do want to see how the episode ends and the fact that Leon is given a choice. I'm very curious to see what Leon decides. I'm also curious to see how this impacts Wanda and whether or not, obviously, you would imagine she's going to stick by Leon no matter what. But I'm very curious to see where things go from here because if I was Leon, I would have never came back. And after hearing about this, I would go back to Ghana. I would not bother trying to repair this. But obviously, he's going to stay behind because he's like right dead in the middle of what's happening between the family. So we'll see what happens. As for my other takeaway in this episode, and Gustavo and Teddy. Now, one thing you mentioned earlier about the fact that there was people that were spying on them. That was Ruben because in the previous episode, they found out about the weapons deal happening in Costa Rica. So I believe that those people that was at there when they went there, they tried to intercept that. Those were the people that Teddy and Gustavo killed. And then you see that after they kill him, Teddy says, "Oh yeah, capture everything they have, and then let's see, try to find out who these people are." So I believe that now Teddy knows that the Russians are involved in trying to take them down. He doesn't know to what extent, like he knows about the Ruben guy, but he didn't know who this Ruben guy was. I think he has a better idea now as to who this guy is. So he's going to have some paranoia. And the reason why this is such a good situation where it can go in so many different directions is because he doesn't even suspect that Gustavo has been talking to this other agent behind his back. Not yet, he doesn't. But yet, every time something happens, Gustavo gets paranoid that Teddy knows, when really Teddy is worried about what's happening with the KGB stuff. So I can't wait to see what happens next week. We did see that Tony did mention to Gustavo that they're going to move into Teddy's warehouse because they know where it's at. It looks like that's what happens in the next episode. So at some point, Teddy is going to find out that Gustavo has been lying, and I'm very curious to see how he's going to handle that situation because again, he already has a lot going on his plate now with the Russians, and then of course Franklin, who, as Sissy pointed out last week, when Teddy disappeared Alton. I'm not going to say killed yet because I still think Alton might show up at the end before the season is over. But when he disappeared Alton, he didn't think that Sissy was going to do anything about it, so he's not worried about her. So I'm pretty sure he thinks with Franklin it's the same situation. He is hoping and waiting for Franklin, Jerome, and Louis to go against each other and tear each other apart. He doesn't think that Franklin has the balls to come after him and take him out. And I believe he is going to learn that as we get deeper into the season, that Franklin, as he said, I will do whatever I need to do to get my hands on Teddy. And I can't wait for that moment to happen because I think a lot of people who are the fans of the show, they cannot wait to see him get payback on Teddy. So I look forward to that. But overall, I thought it was a very good episode. As you said, it really was just to give you a highlight of how the fallout, how everything is happening after that last episode. And I do think that the montage, we might not see too much of that because, again, they did the montage just to progress the story and show you this is what's happening because that will give you a context as to when you see a major character get killed. And yes, major characters will get taken out, I feel, before this season is over. So, and when those happen, those moments are not going to be sped up. You're going to see directly what happens as a result of everything that has happened up to this point. So, a job well done, and I can't wait to see what happens next week for sure. But a very good episode overall.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I agree, and excellent points. So going back to the Teddy thing. So did you say that the people that Teddy shot was the same people from the warehouse? It-
I believe, and I'm sure we'll have people in the comments that will leave their thoughts on this as well. I believe that those people were working for Ruben because in the
okay,
previous episode you saw him talk to the guy and they said, "Yeah, we found that they have a shipment of weapons coming into Costa Rica." So they were going in there to intercept that. And again, I believe those people got taken out. So because the reason why I say that is because you had mentioned that he saw the screwdriver at the end and it's in Russian.
yeah,
And
yeah.
again, he made it a point after they were killed to say, search everything that they had. So I do believe those people were Ruben's people that came in there to try and intercept and they got taken out.
All right, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, excellent points overall. Great takeaways as always, very observant. Um and yeah, you have a keen eye for detail, so that's why I always look forward to your takeaways in particular. But yeah, so we need to expand on some of that, some of those details, and we're gonna do that in just a sec. But quick reminder to the people, please do leave your comments at this point. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your thoughts and theories about all of these storylines that we are currently discussing. And then, hit the like button and hit subscribe also. And, if you do have some extra time, you could check out our entertainment channel, the Coalition Entertainment. And we do also have a gaming channel, the Coalition Gaming. And if you're interested in the show The Last of Us, we are actually reviewing that show over on the gaming channel, and there's obviously a lot of comparison to the game itself and the TV show. So if you are into that show, make sure you go check out that show on those reviews on the Coalition Gaming channel, and all of that is linked below. So now that the house cleaning is out the way, let's get to these discussions because yeah, we're gonna get real deep now. So uh so let's talk about Franklin because I was very much looking forward to seeing his exchange with Cassandra in this episode because obviously last week she said let me go away and do my thing, and then I'll let you know what I find when we meet next week or whatever, right? So we get them at dinner in this episode, but it doesn't really. There's not a whole lot that's revealed here. It's basically just you're gonna get some documents tomorrow or something of that nature, and it looks like we're really gonna get the full extent of that in the next episode. So we didn't get a lot of that in this episode, but I do want to ask this question though because it's a good point to ask this question now because we know what's going on with the war, and we know that Franklin is kind of in a vulnerable state right now because he doesn't have he lost those drugs that he was trying to move, and he probably doesn't have a lot of money right now. So he's in a very vulnerable position. So I do want to ask this question: Can or will Franklin get his money back somehow? Now, he might not get the exact money that he lost, if he does, but with Cassandra, I feel like there's a way that he can make some money back, whether he might even make more money than he had before because she seems to know her stuff. So, do you think that in this season we're going to see Franklin get his money back? And when he does, if he does get his money back, will that be enough for him to stop this war or stop what he's doing? And do you think like if he got his money, would he run away? Would he leave and make a good life with Veronique? Or do you think his arrogance will cause him to stay and continue to fight the war and continue to try and take down Teddy and everyone else? So, it's a very layered question, but yeah, do you think Franklin will get his money back? And if he does, what will he do? What will be his next move? So let me know your thoughts.
Okay, so that's a very good question. My response is I feel that Franklin is going to get what he really wants, and that is Teddy. I kind of feel like again he told Ruben in the previous episode, I want Teddy alive. So I expect him to at some point get his hands on Teddy, and then he'll be the one to punish Teddy the way that Teddy punished him in the past. It feels like it's headed in that direction. But the question about will he get his money? Well, here's the thing: he's not going to get all of his money back. I don't think because number one, he has to pay Cassandra some, the finder's fee. He also has Top Notch doing all of this work to try to find Peaches, and once they find Peaches, he has to pay the person that finds him as well. So I kind of feel like, with all those factors, and then again with Cassandra, you have to ask yourself, is this somebody that you can really trust? They made it in this episode look like all three of them are on the same page, right? But in the season trailer, you see her talking to Veronique and basically saying, "Your man is coming undone. I don't really know if you what is the alternative? What else? What is your exit plan in case this doesn't work out?" So I don't feel like that's going to end positively. I do think that he may be successful in getting some of that money back, but I don't think he's going to get all of it back because if he got all of it back, that would be considered a happy ending, right? If he gets all of that 73 million back, that's a happy ending. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, he did of the money he stole from Louis and Jerome, that was about 3.4 million. He did have some of that stored in that bank in Miami. So he has some money, but he's not going to get it all back. I feel like as this continues to get deadly, with every episode that passes, Franklin's main objective is to get his hands on Teddy. He's talking now like he's going to get his money back, but I don't see him getting all that money back because he has others involved that he can't fully trust. At least in my opinion, he can't. So I don't think he's going to get that, but I do think, to make the show satisfying in the end, he will get his revenge on Teddy. And I think a lot of people, they want to see that for sure. But we'll see what happens. Because the other thing is, with Ruben involved, again, as part of this deal, once they take down everybody, right? What would stop them from just taking the money from him anyway? They want Teddy also, but that's why I said it's this is what I like about the show. It keeps you guessing as to how certain things are going to happen, so it can go in any direction. But for right now, my guess is that he won't get all of his money back, but he will get Teddy by the end of this. By the time this show is over, he will get his hands on Teddy.
Interesting. So you feel like, revenge is his main motivation right now, and getting his money back, I guess, would just be a nice extra, but getting even with Teddy is the main thing on his mind right now. And yeah, go ahead. What was you gonna say?
Oh no, I was going to say, yeah, I feel that because the situation is going to get a lot worse. Obviously, this issue with him and Jerome is it has escalated, and I kind of feel like Jerome could still get killed. Even Sissy, who was in between the both of them, she can get killed. So when you add all of this stuff compounded together, because again, this situation started with Teddy. So Teddy, it caused all of this stuff because he wanted to rip the family apart. So I kind of feel like, yeah, by the end of this season, I kind of feel like we need to see him get his hands on Teddy. I'll be very satisfied as a fan of the show to see that happen. Whether he kills him or not, he needs to get his hands on Teddy. So, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I do believe we'll get that because now we're starting to see Teddy in a very weak and vulnerable state. It seems like he's kind of taking a hit now, and he's in a vulnerable place because we have the KGB after him and Ruben and all of that going on. And we're about to get into the trailer in a little bit, but he looks very worried in that trailer also. So as Teddy continues to descend, he's on a downward spiral. He's gonna it's gonna be easier for Franklin to get to him, on this downward spiral that he's on. So I do think we will see him get even. And as for the money, I kind of feel like maybe he'll get close to getting some of that money back, but I do feel like he's going to be double crossed at some point, or in some way, and is going to continue to be a kind of a cat and mouse game for him, trying to get his money back and trying to get stable again. But I guess we'll have to see how that plays out exactly. But yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. Like I think Teddy is the main thing, because Teddy, like you said, Teddy is the cause of the war. Between him and Jerome, also like the family rift. Teddy is the root of that. And the thing is about family drama, it can always be worked out at some point. No matter how bad it gets. All it takes is for Big Mama, or in this case, it would be Sissy. All it takes is for her to say, "Look, I'm cooking some soul food at the place. I want all of you to come. We're gonna squash this. We're gonna sort this out." And they will be there to get their cornbread and their rice and peas and all that, mac and cheese. So so they can
Yeah.
work it that, like, family turmoil can be worked out at some point. And that's why it's more dangerous for the people around Jerome and Franklin. This war is more dangerous for them than it is for Franklin, Jerome, and Louis directly, because they will have their limits. And just like we saw with the sit down last week, Franklin
Mhm.
couldn't pull the trigger. In like when he's faced with the situation, he couldn't pull the trigger because the blood is too thick.
Yep.
So, but for everyone else that's involved, they have no blood ties to the war, so it's more dangerous for them because they can get taken out at any point. So yeah, I think Teddy is the root cause, and he is probably the number one motivation for Franklin. But was you going to say something else?
Oh no, I agree with everything you said. I'm just looking forward to seeing how the storyline evolves. But we do know it's going to be a very tragic, and I mean I think everyone on the cast has continued to say this is going to be a story that ends tragically. So there will definitely be more people getting killed, some important characters as well. And I do think in the very end, we will see that Franklin will get his hands on Teddy, but a lot of bad stuff is going to happen before it gets to that point.
Indeed, indeed. And yeah, let me make it clear. I'm not saying that no one in the family will die because that absolutely can happen. But I'm just saying that when it comes to family squabbles, on some level, they can always be worked out on some level. But I do think that in this case, because it is a TV show and it's coming to a close, I do think there's going to be at least one major death. So uh, yeah, that's my thoughts. But let's get to the next question. So, uh, as we spoke about, Leon and Wanda, they were a big part of this episode, and their whole mission involves, them wanting to help people, around them and stuff. So, and Franklin said that you have to pick a side and everything like that. So the question is, do you think that they are going to actually end up becoming casualties of war? Um, in the long run, because it kind of, the way this episode was set up, it feels like it was set up for something bad or something to inevitably go wrong. So, do you think that that is going to be the case eventually? Can they actually stay neutral, or or are they going to get caught up in the war? So, what do you think about that?
Well, unfortunately, I think this is going to end in a tragedy. If I had to make a guess exactly how this situation plays out, I think we saw that in this episode when you saw Wanda say that she did not want to go back because she can get hooked again, uh, and that Leon said that he would protect her, and she said, "Oh, again, so you'll be willing to do this again." And obviously, they get married because again, they want to give people who are fans of these characters and their relationship a chance to see them happy and enjoy their time together. But the fact that they have gone back in the middle of a war between Franklin and Jerome, this situation is not going to end well whatsoever. So if I had to make a guess, Leon, we did see in the season trailer that Leon is fighting somebody in the projects on the ground. I don't know if it's Big Dion. I don't know who the person is that he's fighting because it happened so quick when I saw the video. Even if I stop it, I can't see exactly who it is. But if I had to make a guess as to how this situation ends, I feel that Leon is going to get killed. And because he is no longer there to protect Wanda, she will again get hooked on drugs once again. And I say that because the scene where they had the wedding, you saw a quick glimpse of that ring. As soon as I saw that ring, I thought to myself, she's probably going to be selling this to get crack. I didn't want to have that thought, but I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's going to happen because if something happens to Leon, it would make sense that she would go over the edge and completely fall off. They were made for each other, the happy couple. So if something happens to one of them, the other one things are going to fall apart. But in this case, I do think Leon getting taken out. A lot of people don't want to see it happen, but something is going to happen because even in the previous seasons, we saw Wanda looked like she was about to get shot. She did get shot last, I think it was, yeah, a previous, she did get shot. We did see in the past. So I kind of feel like something happens to one of them, the other one is pretty much over. So we'll see what happens. But I'm about 100% certain that Leon will be forced to choose a side. If he sides with Franklin, and we know that Kane also is working with Franklin as well. It's not going to end well for them in terms of him. They're going to probably be casualties. Kane, I'm almost certain it will get killed at some point. But Leon, yeah, I think it's going to happen. If it's not him, it's Wanda, and then at that point, he may go off the rails and go after whoever took out Wanda. So we have to wait and see how it plays out. But to answer your question, they will be casualties of war. I see that happening 100% because they didn't need to come back. And again, the way they titled the episode, that lets you know they aren't going back. So let's see what happens from here on out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's sad just like the way they set it up, like especially Wanda's story. Just to see her come all this way, and she went back to Africa, she got married, and she was in such a happy place, and and it's not easy to get off of crack like that, and drugs. So just to see her come all that way, is something you don't want to see. You don't want to see her get broken again by the streets and everything, but it kind of feels like it's coming the longer they stay over there, like it just kind of feels inevitable. And the streets is where dreams die, every day. So uh,
Yep.
it seems.
And
Go ahead.
and I will add that she has no support system because again they emphasize the grandmother. So like I said, she really has nobody except for Leon in her corner. That's why it would be very dangerous for something to happen to Leon. Then that's it. I could see her losing her mind and just falling right back into that. So have to see what happens, but it's not going to end well. So I hope that people who are fans of both of those characters prepare themselves because this was the episode for you to see them at their happiest. And I think from here, it all goes downhill.
Yeah, yeah, it's sad, but I agree. I feel like you said, I feel like Leon is most likely to get hit or get taken out. And then, like you said, we see Wanda go down that path again. And that will be very sad to see, but it makes a powerful statement. So yeah, I agree. And I want to hear what the people think about that too. Like, what do you think their fate is going to be? Because another thing is, I know that they mentioned the what's it called? I forgot the name, but like where Sissy went last week during the episode where the Alton's place where he used to
Yeah,
help
the
people and
shelter.
stuff. The shelter, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they mentioned the shelter in this, and one of the ideas they had is that they could go to the shelter and help people and take them to Africa and things like that. And maybe they will attempt that, maybe because we must have seen Sissy go there for a reason, I feel like. So maybe they will connect with her and try to do something. But I do feel like at some point, the plan isn't going to go all the way through, and we're going to see something go horribly wrong. But yeah, so let us know your thoughts on that, people, because I want to hear more thoughts and opinions on their role in this story. Um, so there was a trailer released of the next episode, also of episode 4. And of course, these trailers are so well put together, they don't give you too much information, but we do see a lot of different scenes in this episode. So we see Teddy's looking to make a move. It seems like he asked Parissa if she's willing to run away with him. So it seems like all of this stuff is catching up with him, with the KGB. And then we have the scene where Franklin is talking to Cassandra, and he mentions that you could make 7.3 million or whatever. So it seems like they're getting ready to do some kind of heist or something, or Cassandra is gonna do some of her scandalous things, to try and get money. So it seems like they're setting something up, but I don't think it's gonna go well for some reason. And then, we see different scenes of Franklin getting shot at. There's a scene where he's in the house or whatever, and people are shooting through the windows, and he gets on the floor. There's also a scene where I think he's in a suit and he's roughing someone up. It seems like so. Yes, it seems like next week could be a very action-packed episode. It seems like a lot more will happen in the next episode than in this episode that we just saw. But what is your thoughts on that trailer, Rich? Is there anything that stands out to you that you think might go down?
Oh, I do agree 100%. It was an action-packed trailer. To go to your point, I do feel as though this episode this week was meant to reintroduce Leon and Wanda to what's been happening, and that's why we didn't see a lot of things happen in this episode per se. You saw the montage as you mentioned earlier, but they wanted to emphasize Leon coming back and having to make this decision as to what he's going to actually do. Now, as for the trailer, yeah, there's a lot happening in the trailer. We do see that Gustavo, we do, as I mentioned earlier, Tony did tell Gustavo they're gonna make a move on Teddy's warehouse. Looks as though that's what we see a glimpse of in the trailer. So, and of course, Teddy is worried, but he's trying to run away from the problem with Parissa. I do feel when he does attempt to do this, though, somebody's going to see Parissa, namely maybe perhaps Top Notch, because as I mentioned last week, we know that when when Franklin spoke to him last, he said, "Yeah, I want you to find anything that's a pressure point for Teddy." So it's only a matter of time before he sees Parissa and he decides he needs to also try to get go after her to get to Teddy. So we're going to see a little bit of that. I think Gustavo is going to be under some pressure because you see him talking to Tony again in this trailer. But one thing that isn't in this trailer that I do think we are going to see is once again Franklin and him having another exchange because of the whole thing about him trying to get information on Ruben. Now he may have more information, but he may not fully understand all aspects of who Ruben is quite yet. That's going to come at some point. But the other thing is, as you mentioned, the shootout, and they had another trailer of the season trailer where they showed this shootout as well, and it looked as though Franklin was in the same room as Kane. So that tells me that that shootout was designed to take out anybody. And as you know from this episode now, Big Dion knows that Franklin tried to kill him, and now you know that he has beef with Franklin as well as Kane. So I do think you're going to definitely see them have a shootout to try to take them out in the next episode. So looking forward to that. And as for Cassandra, we'll see if she's able to do some type of magic in the next episode as far as getting Franklin some more money. As you said earlier, I do feel that Franklin is still going to get double crossed, and things are not going to work out as well as he thinks they are going to work out. But we'll see what happens. The last thing I will say though, I did laugh when I saw in the trailer where it looks like Franklin tried to fry someone's face. I don't know who that is. I want to know who that is. I've seen people speculate online. They think that could have been Peaches. It could have been somebody working for the gang for the for from Big Dion's gang as well. I don't know who it is, but obviously it's somebody that was not intimidated by Franklin, and he decided to make them feel some pressure. So I don't know who that is, but I can't wait to see that scene because when they showed that scene in the season trailer, I was laughing. So I can't wait to see who that is and how that actually plays out. But that very well could lead to the shootout. But I kind of feel like you saw enough in this episode to know now I could see in the beginning, whether it's the beginning, the middle, or end of the next episode, them, that shootout happening. And that probably will happen towards the end of the episode so that you have people wondering, oh, what's going to happen? Now I got to wait another week to find out what happens next. But we'll see.
Yeah. And Franklin is wearing that suit, while he's doing that. So I'm wondering, like, what was he doing? Like, is this situation like impromptu, or did something did he build up to it? Did he set it up? So all of those questions are going through my mind, as I see him fry that person's face. But I can't wait to see what happens. And yeah, definitely leave your comments. People, let us know your thoughts and theories about what you think is coming in that episode based on the trailer. But before we leave here, Rich, was there anything else at all from this episode that you kind of wanted to highlight and touch on that we didn't talk about yet?
Uh, well, no, I think we touched upon the most important parts of this episode. As I mentioned, they wanted us to get caught up on what's happening with Leon and Wanda, and now you see all of the stuff that they have to deal with now that they are back. I do like the fact that they did try to highlight a lot of important things that they think that John Singleton would want in there, talking about the history, and I think all that stuff was great. But overall, I thought it was a very good episode. It is a building block to what happens next. So probably not as excellent an episode as the previous two, but I still think all three episodes have been fantastic so far, and I can't wait to see what happens next week.
Indeed, indeed. And yeah, I do think they are they are doing an excellent job of carrying on John Singleton's legacy here, and I'm sure he would be very proud of some of the things they did in this episode. You know how they connected the whole African, part of it to what's going on in LA. Like that, that was a great kind of parallel and dialogue to have in this episode, and it was well thought out. So, yeah, props to the writing team on this one. I enjoyed it. Even though like, because every season of a show, you kind of get the slow episodes where not much happens or not much progresses in the plot. And this was a little bit like that, just because we didn't get a lot of the main character doing stuff. But at the same time, they did an excellent job of kind of, like you said, they had to show that, they had to show Leon coming back. They had to show the contrast of everything, so that these moments that are coming up next are going to have some major weight to them now. So they did an excellent job with that. But yeah, so that is going to be our review for this week of Snowfall. And we will return next week to recap episode 4 of season 6. I can't believe we're already on the fourth one, almost like so. Yeah, like it's how much? It's like 5 weeks left now of this show, something like that. No, a bit more than that. It's 10 episodes, right?
Uh, yeah, so 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah, 6 weeks. My bad. I don't know why I was thinking 8, but yeah. So yeah, we still have a bit more time. That's good with this show. And if you guys enjoy BMF, please do check out the recaps that we have on the entertainment channel, because that show is going on right now also. And then we have the Power book 2 Ghost coming back very soon as well in a couple weeks. So we will be recapping that on our Powercast, recap show. So look out for that. But yeah, until next week, you know, take care of yourselves, everyone. Have a good time, and make sure you stay healthy and everything like that. So we'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.